Hello, welcome to the Marquette Messenger podcast, take 2. This is episode 2. We haven't done an episode in a while. I'm your host, Will Roach.
And I'm the other guy, Jeff Swift,
He's
sports editor.
The co-host. Jeff, you're important. And we have a kind of side guest today.
Hi, I'm Sam Hall. I'm a staff reporter, and I will be adding commentary on Endgame.
Right, so today we are talking about the new Hellboy, the new Shazam. Well, I mean, there's not really an old Shazam.
Old TV show, and that's about it.
Yeah, and then we're going to be talking about Avengers Endgame a little bit, though we haven't seen it, just like what we hope and expect for. So, Hellboy, you've seen the old ones, I've seen the new one. The new one is kind of, it's janky.
Yeah.
I'll say that. The opening scene is a narration bit about King Arthur slaying a witch, splitting her remains across England, and then the main story is the repercussions of those actions, and Hellboy dealing with the witch coming back to life. Is that anything like the old Hellboys?
Similar in some points. Chasing after pieces and MacGuffins is a lot like the old films. However, from the looks of it, it does miss a lot of the edge that the old one had. Are there Nazis in this one?
There are Nazis in this one.
There are Nazis. Then there is some similarity.
Yeah, I'll talk about the Nazis. Overall, as a movie, it's absolutely horrible. It's loaded with gore. I would not recommend watching it if you were light of stomach. I know I had to block out about a fourth of it just because of that. It's also not very entertaining. It might entertain some viewers who aren't looking for a very deep and gripping story. That's kind of what it tries to present, but it just ends up tripping all over itself and being pretty garbagey. Are you okay with hitting the spoiler mark?
Of course.
Okay. So 2 minutes in, we are at the spoiler mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers will start now. What happens at the end of the first Hellboy game? Or movie, not game. What? Probably is a game, but what happened? How does the first movie end?
If I remember correctly, there was the demons the bad demon has a sister who feels or that can inflict pain upon him, and she stabs herself, which kills him. It's a very convoluted ending, but it does help the story and ties a lot of stuff together. It makes you think more than I think most people expected from a Hellboy movie.
All right, that's fair. So we are not kidding about spoilers, gentlemen. Hey, and ladies, gentlemen and ladies. Okay. So the first Hellboy, the main plot, yeah, it goes. Okay, no, we already know the plot, but it's the gore. Okay, I'll talk about the gore. Focus on that. The one thing I will mention is child soup.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up, and there's no real purpose to it, like how you might find in a good war movie. But it's just there for pure shock value. And it's boring, not entertaining at all. Like, the end of the movie is the witch summons all the little demons and creatures from hell, and there's a good 5-minute segment of them just killing people. Like, it's gruesome, it's grotesque, it's horrible, but it doesn't add anything to the story. That time could have been spent on Hellboy's fight with the witch, which isn't even that entertaining. It's more so of a battle of morals, because he sees that he can become this demon and rule the world, but if he does that, he has to sacrifice the humanity that he has inside of him. And that would be interesting, but they don't build up to it in a way that's appropriate. There's never really any defining moment that we feel where Hellboy's truly at a loss and can't decide between the human race or the demons. So it's not that entertaining.
I think in contrast to contrast it with the old one, the older movies, to start off with, are not perfect in the slightest. They're not Oscar winners. They're not anything among that. They're just goofy uh, blood-filled murder fests, but they own up to that. They don't try to be anything more than that, and that's what establishes them as enjoyable movies.
Okay.
They are what they are, and they take advantage of that and do what their intention was to the best of their ability. And that all is tied together with the very strong portrayal of Hellboy by Ron Perlman, who makes the character come to life. He's more than just a comic book character on a movie screen. He's something that you can understand. He's a true anti-hero. One of the first adaptations of a comic book anti-hero in anything, really.
That's nice.
Yeah.
One thing, yeah, no. The actor for Hellboy in the new one, I don't remember his name. He does a pretty okay job for what the script gives him, though because the script was probably written in the middle of the night in 5 minutes on a caffeine high, I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that if there was more time and love put into the script that whoever acted him out would have done a pretty good job. To give you an idea of how quickly or poorly everything is paced, the first 2 acts of the movie can be summarized by a quick 5-minute action scene, then a 1 to 2 minute sort of montage of traveling in a car by horse with music playing in the background. And then there's the one scene, Nazis. You want to ask about the Nazis? It's a flashback. There's no, like, torture or anything. It's just the Nazis are on an island. They want to make the final push to defeat the Americans and Europeans. And what happens is, all of a sudden, no warning, some guy who I forget his name, but he's obviously someone else who's from the comics, hops out of nowhere and he's a Nazi slayer. Like, he's an American special agent or something, and he sends people to hell with something he calls the Claw. I don't really know. And his introduction is there. It's jarring. He's a character that's instantly accepted with no question. And then he also shows up at the very end of the movie as a ghost? Isn't explained. Yeah. It's not very well paced.
Yeah. Sounds pretty all over the place.
It really is. Yeah. Like, 1 minute you have Hellboy getting stabbed a good 20 times through the chest, or just through the torso in general, by random guys who then die or run away because of something, and Hellboy's just left unconscious. But then 2 minutes later he's fighting 3 giants like nothing ever happened, which, yeah, he does have a regenerative healing ability, but that isn't explained until afterward, which was confusing.
It sounds like a very off-kilter movie.
It definitely is. Yeah.
Now, where do we want to...
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about it. It's absolutely horrible unless... for context, if you saw Venom and you liked it, imagine it like Venom but with the added gore. Which I also thought Venom was a very bad movie, but a lot of people liked it. So, yeah, I guess that's all we have for Hellboy. You ready for Shazam?
Of course.
All right, Shazam. It's Billy Batson. He's a young 14-year-old. He's homeless. He's a foster child and running around looking for his mom. So that's the basic plot. He gets adopted by a foster home, so he unbecomes homeless. He likes his Sam's giving me a weird look.
Sorry.
You're good.
Wasn't good English, but that's fine.
That's fine. I only practice good English in writing.
He
Sometimes.
became good at English.
So after he joins his foster home forcibly, some bullies pick on one of his brothers, Freddy something, and he sort of hits a bully with the crutch that Freddy needs to walk, and then runs away, hops on a subway train, and then gets summoned by Shazam, a magical wizard, who grants him like a few powers. I don't know how many, but they all resemble Greek gods in some way or another. Like the most prominent one is Zeus because of the lightning. Obviously, there's like a big lightning bolt symbol on his chest.
Does it give him the ability to like magically tell you what song is on the radio at all times?
Okay, I watched sort of an informational video to like learn more about his powers because there's a lot said, but I didn't know a lot. But evidently, he can just like pull any knowledge he needs to at any time when it's necessary, and then remember it.
What?
Yeah. Like, obviously, he's not that informationally busted.
He's not the brightest fella.
Right, because he's still 14 years old, and that gets the better of him sometimes. But yeah, he can turn into that giant hulking guy, Zachary Levi, just by saying Shazam. And it's pretty good. It's a good gimmick. I like it. Unfortunately, he never really gets a real superhero name because Captain Marvel's already taken. That's what he used to go by back in the day. But as a whole, the movie is incredible, and I'm going to start the spoilers here. So, it has a very strong family dynamic, I will say that. It comes to one point in the movie where Billy's foster siblings find where his mother is. The reason Billy could never find her is because she switched back to... No, she adopted a different last name. And he goes to meet her, and we've been building up to this moment, for one of the arcs at least, the entire movie. He gets to her, has a moment of realization that it doesn't, like, biologically, that doesn't determine who your family is. Instead, it's really the people that you actually care about and that care about you. And that's never really happened in a DC movie before. Nothing that deep, at least. I mean, not for the extended universe, at least.
Are you telling me that Batman vs. Superman didn't have emotional weight?
Don't make me cry, Jeff. God, Margaret was so emotional.
Martha.
Oh, it's Margaret? I get the two mixed up a lot.
Why would you say that name?
It's Martha Kit.
I don't know.
And
them
Martha
a lot.
Wayne.
Yeah.
Both of their moms. That's it.
That was disappointing. I'm going to let myself go on a tangent for a second, but like, you advertised something that could be essentially the comic book movie fight of the decade. I'm serious. And then you end it with them finding out that their mother's names are both Martha.
And that stops the fight.
And gets them to work together and become best friends.
Yeah.
That's pathetic. I'm serious. Instead, Wonder Woman, incredible movie. Aquaman, average. Shazam.
Aquaman was fun, though.
It was fun.
I really appreciated how Aquaman, it wasn't just like, I don't know, I feel like Aquaman kind of had like some environmental like issues. Like I kind of relate it to like, what are they called? Like mermaids? They're mermaids. Yeah.
I mean,
basically.
Atlanteans, I guess. That's the
I
proper
guess
term.
Yeah. Like I relate it to the
Water people.
Water
people.
Well, anyway, I related to them. I'm like, yeah, like they have every right to be upset. We are kind of like polluting our ocean, and I thought that was kind of nice that they added that.
Yeah. Though my one problem with Aquaman, it's not that emotionally demanding. It has a very strong skeleton script, but James Wan, the director, coming with more of a horror film background.
Much more horror as a director.
Fast and Furious. He didn't really know how to capture the emotional power that story had. And that's the one thing that I didn't like about that movie. Shazam?
Better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
David Sandberg, director of Shazam, he also kind of has a horror background, but he knew... I don't know if he's ever had experience with foster children before or something, or if he just understands the message he wanted to deliver. He knew what he wanted to say, and he delivered it very well in Shazam with Billy Batson's story. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think these films, with Aquaman, this kind of pushing back more of the backgrounds of the
Right.
directors and things like that, and more focusing on the trend of DC. With Aquaman and now this, it seems like the DC is trying to fix one of their biggest flaws that people have had with them for a long time.
Yeah.
In that they're trying to have fun again.
Right.
That was one thing that whenever you went to a DC movie, you always came out disappointed because like they take Batman and Superman, this guy who dresses up like a bat and fights crime. They take that too seriously. Like that shouldn't be too dark. I think they play the dark edge, but don't make it realistic.
Right.
And so that really hurt them. And now that they're going with the unrealistic but fun side of things, then it makes everything gel much better.
Right. And even though it is very unrealistic, like obviously you're not going to go on a subway train and get summoned by a wizard to fight the 7 deadly sins. That's the plot of the movie. Yeah. Some guy steals the power of the 7 deadly sins from the wizard and is going to destroy the world essentially. But no. It's much more fun and relatable because I think not everyone, but most people at least have had a moment where they kind of had to at least reconsider their friends or the people that they loved.
Mm-hmm.
And that is definitely what makes it probably my favorite of the movies. Wonder Woman, it was strong.
Yeah.
I'd say with me there's a close battle between
Right.
Wonder Woman and this one because they're both very good movies, very strong.
Definitely.
They're by far the best thing that DC have made.
Okay, no
so
question. No question there. Yeah. Though I've only seen Wonder Woman once, it just didn't really leave me with the same emotional impact that Shazam did, and I think that's what gets me with Shazam. The acting is incredible. Zachary Levi, who plays Shazam, he acts just like a 14-year-old kid. And like, I can't imagine that's easy for every, 30, 40-year-old adult to do.
Talk to Chris Pratt and he can do it immediately.
Yeah. Zachary Levi does the floss. I mean, they just had fun with this.
Yeah.
They didn't take themselves that seriously, but they did when they needed to.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Overall, Shazam, incredible. Go see it.
Yeah, very
please.
Strong movie.
You don't need to see any of the other. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer through any of the other DC movies.
No,
Except for Wonder Woman. If you haven't
Okay,
seen Wonder
well,
Woman,
you don't have to
probably
suffer
see it.
through Wonder Woman or Aquaman.
Right.
Okay.
All right, we have 2 minutes left. Let's do a quick thing on Endgame.
Okay, in all honesty, I'm so pumped for Endgame because it's like this tension has been building up for like the last 10 years. And I mean, yeah, with like Iron Man 1, and I'm really excited to see how everything is going to come together. And Thanos is such a dynamic character.
Yeah.
And I think it's really, I'm sorry, it's just like you have family drama with that, and then we have like love affairs because like Tony hasn't talked to Pepper in so long, and it's like, what are we doing? Man.
I'm gonna. Oh well, that's the bell going off. You don't have to stay, Jeff. You don't have to stay.
Let's have a closing.
Okay.
Closing
All right.
thing.
Never mind. We won't really have time for Endgame. It's gonna be a pretty fun movie.
Hopefully.
Not that fun, probably gonna make you cry a little bit, a lot.
Of course.
And that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for tuning in if you did, and have a wonderful day.
Of course.